Hey, welcome to Graphic Policy Television, GPTV. I'm Brett. In my hands is the Walking Dead Deluxe number 14. We're getting up there. So this is a colorized version of The Walking Dead. It's the same series, the same story that, is a classic. It is definitely a modern classic, I think, and I think many others would agree. It's just been colorized, and it's going issue by issue, which is pretty awesome because it allows you to re-engage and take in the series just like it was when it was originally released. Bonus, it's done every other week, so, speeding things up. And then you get the new aspect of it colorized. There's also some other bonuses, stuff like that, that's pretty cool. But, let's dive in and talk about the series and the story itself. Now, to me, it's been really interesting re-examining and going back to this series and stories because, when it was first released, we had, it was a totally different time. We were, economically, a little shaken, and the biggest thing on everyone's minds was, the threat of terrorist attack. And stories like this, zombie stories, do a really good job of, examining those, uncertainties during that time. The, original, like, Night of the Living Dead, stuff like that. There's always kind of a deeper layer to the series. So going through the original series, it was always kind of fascinating to, how it reflected on the time. But, years have gone by, and now we have COVID to deal with. So the question is, to me, is like, how much has this changed, reading this series, reflecting on that, then, threat of terrorism or economic uncertainty. Economic uncertainty consistently is, it's kind of been a theme of the last 20 years. But, we now have a bigger threat than, terrorism. Long arguments on that, but you kind of get the point on that. So what's been interesting is the series up to this point has done a really good job, I think, of reflecting how people would really act. I mean, there was a sense of denialism, a denial from a lot of folks in the beginning of the series. Even when presented with facts and science and what was right in front of them, they still seem to be kind of in denial of exactly what was going on. As the series has progressed, it's kind of gotten away from, the COVID thought a little bit more as society begins to rebuild. Like, we haven't completely collapsed as society, but, we are in a building phase currently. Like, we're starting to get past COVID and go into that building. So it's kind of, I think, now going to be interesting to compare those two. The storyline currently going on is Rick and everyone is now at the prison. So it's their time to go and rebuild society at the prison. And, we as a society, as a nation, as a world, we'll have to rethink things post-COVID. We in theory should not be able to return to normal. The normal's been smashed pretty good. We're seeing that with all the stories currently now about, businesses not being able to hire people because people have figured out that things are utter bullshit before and now are just willing to call it out. And act upon it, more importantly. So I think it's going to be interesting to see is like maybe what changes we do as society and how much they are willing to rebuild, reflect, and kind of improve the society before within the comic. So as I said, this is a pretty key issue in this current arc where they are at the prison. They've been introduced to, and we get introduced to the individuals in the prison. Not much of a spoiler is that they are actual prisoners. Each has an interesting history. We have, drug addict, tax evasion. One was a murderer, and it kind of makes Rick and his crew a little nervous. But what they find is a location that is fairly secure with a lot of material that everyone can share. So the question would be is like and it kind of reflects on the COVID aspect as well. Is that we have people who are desperate, who are looking. We have some people who have. The question is how much is society willing to kind of maybe overlook things or work together and share what they have to make things better in itself. What Rick and his crew brings that the prisoners don't have is information about the world. They've been in the prison, locked up, and unaware of everything, of the state of things. Like, they knew where things were going, but actually where they're at that moment, they don't know. So to me, the prisoners are kind of in a way, those with capital, like, they've got the resources, they're just completely oblivious to reality, whereas Rick and his crew are coming in with a dose of reality and kind of what needs to be done, and in many ways that actually is fairly reflective of what should be happening right now. These are the conversations that seem to be happening in some ways, but we're not quite there. So I actually think that's really interesting. Is that unintentionally, Kirkman has written kind of the phase that we're going into post COVID, however you want to call it. In this issue, I think it's a fascinating thing to reflect upon and really think about. And to me, it's going to be the interesting thing of going forward is to how much that's explored and those people, the interactions of everyone. A lot of the individuals don't like that. One of the people is a murderer, and I vaguely remember where this plot line was going. So I'm not going to spoil things, and I'm not 100% sure. It's been a long time since I've read the story, and I vaguely remember where things were going. But, to me, it's kind of going to be a fascinating thing of, we as a society, how much are we willing to overlook that murderer who has the capital, who has the means, who has, ways to help us, versus, shunning them and having things kind of continue, and then how much the people who have the means are willing to listen to those upstarts coming in who have the information and kind of better idea on the ground. To me, that's going to be a very fascinating thing, both in story, but in also real life. And again, Kirkman kind of nails it. The art, so to me, the interesting is the art on the color, the colorization, everything is getting better for me. Like, I've said before, there's times that it looks a little cartoony, and this issue, there's not much of an issue with that. We don't see that quite as much, which is good. So, and I think kind of the series, the art is getting more into a groove at this point, it feels like. This is a real key issue, is, there's the introduction with the prisoners, we get Herschel back in, and then, of course, we have some major tragedy happens as well. So this is a big one that packs in a lot, and for those who've been reading this know that Kirkman's notes in this, original notes from the series, as well as he has like a small kind of director's commentary in a way about the notes and how they might have changed in the series and his thought process on all that. And he admits that there's a lot packed into this issue, and it's a pretty key one. So, as always, like I'm loving the series. I'm loving going back and re-exploring it. I think it's fantastic for new readers who have never experienced the comic. You can get it now, in a issue-by-issue experience, which is totally different than reading trades. And for those who have who loved the series, who read it originally, whether or not in trade or single comics, you get to explore it again, this time in color, this time with the extra notes. I mean, it's really fun to go back and explore this all and go through the story again. So, as always, it's been really fun, and I can't wait to check out, the next 100-something issues. Was it 130 more to go? So yeah, it's as always fantastic. You can go get this now in comic shops. We got a link beneath this video. Put in your zip code. It'll tell the shops near you. No shop, no problem. We do have some affiliate links. There are affiliate links, so we get a small percentage by doing that. You help support our site, so thank you. And speaking of support, I want to thank you for watching. We always appreciate that. And, if you're into comics, if you're into Walking Dead, Image, Skybound, check us out every single day at graphicpolicy.com. We're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Tumblr, all at Graphic Policy, keeping it nice and consistent. So until next time, keep reading those comics, and keep it geeky. Hey, thanks for watching the previous video from Graphic Policy Television. Just by watching, you help support our site. Thank you so much. Now, if you're watching these videos, you probably care about geeky things like movies, television, comic books, toys, games, video games, you name it. You can go and subscribe right now to our YouTube channel to stay in touch and catch all the new videos, or check out our website at graphicpolicy.com. There's a nice link on this end of the video. But as always, thank you for watching. Keep on rocking and keep it geeky.